Hello all, and welcome to this. And this will be my first one of these I've done, these Blue Moon Extras. I'm normally with the guys, but every once in a while, we do our own little thing, and so I thought I would do this. I'll probably title this Survivor Series 2025, No Blood or Guts. Yes, I'm going to compare the two shows, so if you don't want that, don't watch. That's all I gotta say about that. So why of all of the things would I pick this show to do a WWE review of by myself? Well, first, I don't think anyone else is gonna watch it. I think maybe Brandon watched it, but I don't think anyone else is probably gonna watch it. Or maybe we'll talk about it. Maybe, I don't know, but we'll see. But that'll be next week, and it's a hot discussion right now. Show happened while I'm doing this yesterday, while I was at work, so I watched it this morning when I got home, and it was every bit as bad as everyone said. And it wasn't like horrible bad. Like the show wasn't like all time like Heroes of Wrestling, that kind of bad. It was bad in the sense of it was everything I hate about pro wrestling today. It was everything, plus nothing happened on the show. Like, it was just boring, and that's like worse than like even when something's really bad, but you can laugh at it and you kind of enjoy it. Maybe even get mad. Maybe even have a visceral reaction to it. You couldn't even have that. It was just that kind of like nothing show. Like, I felt like I wasted my time watching the show. Yes, I normally don't like WWE anyways, but here's the thing. I love Wargames. I used to come on here way back, almost 20 years ago. I used to come on here and talk about the fact that I loved the Wargames, and I wish WWE, who owned the rights to Wargames, would do a Wargames match, right? I begged for it. Finally, we got it in NXT. It wasn't exactly Wargames. They kind of updated it a little bit. That's fine. I was fine with that. And for the most part, they were pretty good. I'm not one of these people that comes on here. Like, I know Rich and Joe from the Voices of Wrestling. They really don't like Wargames. And they're always like, they're overrated, they're this. And I'm not going to defend every Wargames match, because the problem with Wargames is you have like probably four of them that were really good at the start. Not counting the ones that didn't make tape until, I don't even know if the WCW sold those on tape. The ones that they released, the WWE released on the Wargames DVD that they came out with. With that, I don't even know if WCW ever released those, but for the most part, they were house show matches. So then once you got to where they were actually on pay-per-views, those type of things, you probably had about four of them in a row that were good, that were great, that were a lot of fun. Then the Hogan era starts, and then you have people trying to get around, like, okay, we gotta do War Games, but we gotta get around the rules of War Games, right? So you get like we have now in WWE, where it's not just submission or submit, it's also pinfall, and all the other things that do take away from it, compared to when AEW said, okay, we're going to do Blood and Guts, their version of War Games, and it's pretty much War Games. It has a roof on top. You can only lose by giving up. Somebody has to give up. Everything else is pretty much War Games. I would say that, given what has gone on in NXT for the most part, given what even the main roster for the most part, even though I don't think they've been stellar, and given what Blood and Guts has been able to do, War Games works. The problem with War Games that people fall into is you have egos, you have people trying to book around the rules, which is part of the problem. You basically, if you go into War Games, you basically have to, it has to have a story behind it. We complained about that with Blood and Guts. We didn't feel like either of the Blood and Guts really had a strong story, especially the women's match, going into it, which hurt it, because it should be either the feud ending match or the match right before the feud ending match. Like, it needs to be that, and it needs to be, like, planned out. It needs to be, like, there's no reason why, like, in AEW, you can't have, you know, even if you're going to do it once a year, okay, well, we're doing it once a year. When do we need to do this? When is it the right time for the feuds? Because we're going to plan out the feuds far enough in advance to where, okay, this is when we're going to do this match. And maybe you do both matches, but you do them at different times. You don't have to do them on the same show. They did them on the same show. That Blood and Guts episode, by the way, went, I believe, an hour and a half of TV. Absolutely destroyed this pay-per-view. I don't think there's any way anyone can say otherwise. I know you had people coming on and said, oh, there was too much blood, there was too much this, there was too much that. Whatever. Completely destroyed this pay-per-view with 3 matches and an hour and a half. You had about the same amount of wrestling time as that Blood and Guts show had in a, 2.5 hours? You know, almost the same. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. I hate watching these shows. I don't even like watching these. I used to stand watching these shows when they were on Peacock, because it was a better app and you could fast forward through a lot of this stuff a lot easier than you can on ESPN. The ESPN app is still, to me, it's not as easy to fast forward through stuff. But I was bored shitless during this pay-per-view. Absolutely just bored. And it's a pay-per-view. Make no mistake about it. You can call it PLE, you can call it what the fuck you want, but it's a pay-per-view. Bored shitless. Bored. Just bored. And that's a horrible thing. You had a women's match in which, you know, the one of the differences, if you compare the two, is, for the most part, not completely, but for the most part, in the women's Blood and Guts, the women came out and pretty much got to the ring, didn't worry as much about their entrances, and so there was there was something about the match that felt like it was important, even though it didn't have a great build, even didn't have all that thing, felt like they all wanted to kill each other, and that's what you wanted. You're not going to get that in WWE, because you're going to get, you know, they're going to tone down the violence. There isn't, of course, going to be any blood. But even if you take the blood away, there just was no, like, sense of urgency with any of this. And it was just like, let's go out there, let's just have a match in a Wargames structure. That's pretty much what we got. It was just a regular, like, 5-on-5 match in a Wargames structure. Like, okay, why are we doing this? We get to do everyone's entrances, which of course the WWE fans love. There was a ton of people there. I'm not going to take away from that. All of those things, but not for me. Not for me. I don't need to see the same trash can dive spot that I've seen for 7 years now. I don't need to see that. I don't need to see just no intensity, no nothing, just be there. None of these characters making any sense. Just really, like, and the thing is, the WWE match by far, I would say, had the more talented women in it, and it just came off as like a match. It just came off as like, it was pretty good. Just as a match, it was pretty good. And yes, it's the first women's Blood and Guts, and so they're going to go out there, but it was thrown together. Like there was absolutely thrown together. There was no like anything. They just went out there, but they went out there and they busted their ass. They made it seem important. They made the finish was good. Everything about that match was just great. And then you have the rest of the show, right? You have an absolutely overbooked John Cena Dominik match, which was completely overbooked. Just like, I'm glad people were into it, I guess, kind of, but it was overbooked. It was like, oh, we're gonna go back and do the Elimination Chamber ending for some weird reason that I don't understand. Even though, you know, I watched that show, I follow, you know, and this, you know, just whatever that was. And then you had the women's match, which was like, why is Nikki Bella even back? Why are we doing this? Like, I'm just like, what? And then we do the men's match, and the men's match was just there too. It was like there was nothing to it, even though, again, I would say you had a more star-studded match in the WWE Wargames main event than you did in, Blood and Guts, and Blood and Guts blew it the fuck away. Like, absolutely, like, a better story, better everything. I don't get it. I just, and the thing is, I watch these WWE shows, and it's every single thing I hate about pro wrestling. I think that's the problem. And you have a generation, literally a generation now, that thinks that's the way that you do pro wrestling. Like, that you can't do pro wrestling any other way. Even though when you actually give them real pro wrestling, they're so much hotter than they normally are. When they're just like, oh, we're going to pop for the entrance. Oh, we're going to pop for the the catchphrase. Or one or two spots. But there's not going to be anything in the beginning. We're just going to be sitting here and we're going to wait for the end. And we're going to wait for them to look at each other. And we're going to wait for the storytelling. But, and that's what they do. They just wait and wait and wait and wait and wait and wait. And it's not good storytelling. It's not even good wrestling storytelling. I really do wonder about the people. Like, it makes me wonder about, like, who's watching this? Because, like, the people I know personally, like, in my, like, not online, like, out in the real world, that actually watch this stuff, I can tell you are not people I would normally, I hate saying this, are not normally people I would have any real contact with whatsoever, because I just can't even stand talking to them. It's that, like, just, like, completely other world, like, what are you talking about? I don't want to say unintelligent, but ignorant of a lot of things that they try to talk about, and you're just like, oh, okay. It's that type of thing, and I hate saying that, but then, these people go around and they spend money to go to WWE events and basically just be treated like garbage. Like what are we doing? Right? What are we doing? Like, I haven't looked since, but I should have looked before I came on here. But last night I looked, and like the inning was super early. But like, cage match, absolutely burying this pay-per-view. And Blood and Guts is like probably in the, I think, top, I want to say top 20 of maybe all, AEW shows ever. I know at least top 10 of the, or top 5 of the, of Dynamites that have ever been done, And let's face it, there's been awesome Dynamites. And that doesn't even get into, like you're just comparing, if you just compare the Blood and Guts matches to the Wargames matches, that's one thing. But then you have, Hangman Page and Powerhowse Hobbs, and that match blew away the other two matches. Nothing on this show, and all the downtime, and all of the commercials, and just getting hit over the head with all the Saudi stuff. I was like, I just can't do this. And none of it made it a good experience. None of it made, and I'm somebody that loves Wargames. I'm somebody that absolutely, like, wanted them to bring it back, and I'm like, this is, like, so whatever. And if WrestleMania, like, I guess we teased WrestleMania stuff. I don't know what we teased. Were we doing Roman and Cody again? Or were we doing, like, what are we doing? Like, legit. Like, this is the most boring, like there's no emotion behind any of this. It's just there. Like, it's the worst type of TV. I don't understand it. I don't understand the people who go to these shows. I really wish we would have, like, people that love WWE would come on and really explain, and not try to like defend WWE. Not to that extent. Just explain why they like it so much. Like, what is it? Give me a real example. Don't give me storytelling, because the storytelling sucks. Like, it sucks. You get moments. If you want moments, fine. Say that's what you want. You want your storytelling to simply be moments. If that's all you want, that's fine, but that's not storytelling. Storytelling is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, like those are your points. When all you're doing is, and the lines in between, when all you're doing is moments, you're doing A to D to maybe H, and that's all you're doing. You're not doing anything in between, and it just comes off like, okay, what is this? I don't like this. And then, if you don't think the entrances are more important than the matches, you had a Wargames match where an entrance was more important than the match, than literally during the match. In the match itself, you had someone redo their entrance because it's more important than the match itself. That's not why, that's not why, that is not why I go or why I watch pro wrestling. And look, I love grandiose, I love great entrances. I'm a huge fan of The Undertaker. I love those great, overall, overproduced entrances that they would do for The Undertaker. I really loved All In, and I love the fact that they went literally all in on the entrances and All In. I love that stuff. One of the biggest things I've said that WWE just absolutely has not done well with Jade Cargill is Jade Cargill is made for that. Jade Cargill is made for those overproduced, awesome entrances. She's been on, I think, one WrestleMania card, and they did one of the dirt worst special entrances I've ever seen. It was just horrible. And so I like that stuff. Love the Great Muta. Go back and just look up Great Muta entrances. And they are these super elaborate, crazy things. Love those. But I also want good wrestling to go with those because it makes a lot more sense. It makes me like that stuff better. You can like multiple different things in pro wrestling. I loved, Lucha Underground. Lucha Underground was completely over the top science fiction comic book crazy stuff, right? To its detriment. I loved it. Markeem will come on here and tell you that he loved it too. It was made for people like me and him, right? But we understood that. We understood that it was made for us. It wasn't made for everyone. We can look at something that we like and say, hey, this is the problems it had. This is why it didn't exist. This is why it didn't last. And all of those things. And it's just mind-boggling to me just how bad this show was. Just really just like I said, I can't even complain about a lot of it. It was just boring and not if the Cena match, you had the turn, right? You had the turn, and it was just there, and it was you could see it coming. You could see it all of, and it's who cares? We haven't seen this. When was the last time this person was on TV? They're out there with Dominik. Now we're gonna have 3 women with Dominik. I guess whatever. I guess Triple H is living his fantasies through Dominik the same way that Vince used to live his fantasies through other people. I don't know. Maybe that's what's going on. I don't know, but it's very troubling to me. It's just everything I hate about WWE. The entrances are more important than helping your partners. Play sing along with the crowd. Let the and I don't even hate the sing along with the crowds. That's part of pro wrestling, right? Don't believe me? Go back. One of the reasons why the Road Warriors became the Road Warriors because they came out to Iron Man. That was one of the things that got them over. One of the things with the Freebirds was they came out to Freebird. That was one of the things. So there's nothing wrong with that. You can have all of those. You can have all of those things where the crowd comes out, the crowd sings along with the. There's nothing wrong with any of that. The problem is when you make it inorganic, right? That's the big thing. And WWE is so overproduced, it becomes so inorganic. And even when like organic things happen, if it's organic things they don't like, they just like they try to downplay it immediately. I was 11 minutes into this show, and I already wanted to turn the commentary completely off. It is so, like, I don't know how people listen to it without just wanting to, like, just rip their hair out. It's like, it talks down to you. It talks to you like you're, like a 9-year-old. It talks to you like you can't have any sort of thought to yourself. It just hits you over the head with everything. There's no subtlety to it whatsoever. Like, it's just like, what are we, like, I just don't get it. I don't get, it's a lot of, like, I never really understood reality TV in a lot of ways, because it became very clear to me, like, when reality TV started becoming really big, and really even back when, like, the early days, right? Like, on MTV, when they would do, like, it was very evident that a lot of this stuff was set up to be this way, and that it wasn't as real as a lot of people would hope. That it was maybe not completely scripted, but it was very pro wrestling like, where, okay, we're gonna put these people in, and hey, maybe we'll at least push these people to have a lot of conflict, and it's gonna come off eventually very fake, and that, you know, like, it's that type of thing. And I never liked that. I just let something be, right? On top of, I spent 3 hours of my time watching a show that was a pay-per-view. I don't know how people watch these live. I cannot imagine being in the arena, being in a stadium, paying that kind of money, and having all of that fucking downtime. Like, it would drive me nuts. The last WWE event I went to, right, which was, I think, a Raw. I think it was a Raw. It was either Raw or SmackDown. I was so bored because there was a lot of downtime that I just couldn't contend. I was like, what is this? What is this? This is just so, like, so I can't even imagine what it's like now. I just don't get it. I don't get WWE. You know, I always wanted Wargames to come back. Really sad after watching this that Wargames, you know, wasn't bad. Like, why didn't you do, like, 2 Wargames matches and, like, a traditional SummerSlam match, or Survivor Series match, and you could have put those, like, you could have put that John Cena match, you could have put that on. I understand why they didn't, because, you know, this show had to be a big deal, because if you don't know, the ESPN numbers, like, ESPN has said nice things, but if you actually, like, read into it, it's amazing that people will read into every little tiny thing that anybody ever says about AEW, and that's fair. But they don't do the same thing when ESPN is talking about WWE, and it's clear that these PLEs are not doing what they had hoped. And it's clear that, you know, this was like WWE told them, okay, we're going to put everyone we can on this show, and we're going to make it a big deal. Make it a big deal. Maybe Wargames sold it. Maybe. Because here's the thing. WrestlePalooza, that was one of the most star-studded shows that WWE had put on since WrestleMania. Honestly. You know, so that's a problem. That's a problem. They're still selling tickets, but so is UFC. And when was the last time you talked to anyone that really watches or really goes to UFC? Like, really? And I'm not saying that they're faking the number. Like, people are buying those tickets. Somebody is buying those tickets. I just don't know who these people are, is the thing. But anyways, that's probably a discussion for another time. But I wanted to come on and say this. You know, the Blood and Guts Dynamite episode blew this PLE away. That women's match was nothing. Absolutely nothing. Why is Lash Legend and Nia Jax in this match? For one thing. I mean, they're both just horrible, right? You know, I see Lash Legend, I see all the things she does, and I'm like, wow, you know what? Even as bad as, doesn't matter. She's bad. She's not good. She is not good. Because even as bad as Jade Cargill is, she's still better than Lash Legend. She's still better, I would say, even than Nia Jax. And Nia Jax is just like, why? Like she walked into the ring, and I'm like, what the? Why? And then the whole story of that match, there was no real story. It was just, oh, we're just gonna go out here and we're gonna do. And I guess the story was, you know, that Becky, like, everybody hates Becky. I guess that's the story, and she's scared of everybody. I guess, like, her interactions with AJ were just like, what's going on? Like, this isn't the character who got over. Like, even as a heel, it's not that character. It's just so weird. It's so weird. And then you get the men's match, and the men's match was just like, there. Like, can everybody coexist? I guess. Can we not do that? Can every promotion not do a can they coexist storyline for a year? Just 1 year. Just 1 year. That would be great. That would be awesome. Anyways, I've talked for way too long. I just wanted to come on here and say this show sucked. This show was bad. I think the women's War Games was okay. The men's War Game maybe was good. Maybe was good. I didn't care for either of the other two matches. I thought one was completely overbooked. I thought one, like, Stephanie Vaquer did everything she could, and it still was maybe okay. Maybe. But just a bad pay-per-view that felt lifeless, like nothing was going on. There was nothing on this show that made me want to see anything else. Like the mystery guy, like you had a mystery guy run in during a War Games match, which that never goes well, ever. So, anyways, I've talked almost 30 minutes. I should just log off and be done. Show sucked. And I figured we wouldn't probably get to talk about it. Maybe we'll in 2 weeks, but I wanted to talk about it. Show sucked. Yeah, show sucked.